So if two tribes come together, wage war, the victorious tribe will then come and take all the women and children from the tribe that they killed. Now, they will do the same thing that guerrillas will do. They will try to ostracize, or very often in history would kill the males when there's much less resources to go around. So they would ostracize and kill the males, just like gorillas and chimpanzees or all these other species would, for obvious reasons. Now, women, just like those other species, can't fight to the death. They're not programmed to fight to the death for their tribal allegiance.
What is this, Game of Thrones, Animal Kingdom style? So that was the YouTuber Mission presenting some really out of left field notion about male disposability and why women view men as disposable. I'm not sure if he believes that. I think he does based on what I've seen in the video, but it's just kind of out there. And we're going to take a look at the video and see more about this really weird idea. So please make sure that you're subscribed. Make sure that you're still subscribed, because YouTube does unsubscribe people every single day. And hey, I've written my first book. It is a medieval fantasy novel. It should be coming out later on this year. I'm having it looked at by some other people right now, and then I'm going to make some edits to it and see about getting it published. So if you're into that sort of thing, look forward to that coming up later on this year. Well, now let's get into this video.
Now, to jump right into it, as far as this theory goes, to initially establish how this is behavior that is prevalent across the animal kingdom, especially when we're talking about species that have similar tribes or packs that humans do, I will give you 3 examples. So number 1 is lions. This is the most common cited example when we're talking about this theory in human psychology.
Okay, so first off, he's going to use animals as proof that this happens, which, yes, frequently human biology, human psychology is reflected in the animal kingdom or vice versa. But there's still significant differences between animals and humans. And one thing we see here with the lions, you're dealing with a social order where you have one male and like 20 females. We don't see that in the human species so much. There's polygamy and polyamory, but mostly we just kind of see like monogamy or I guess like small term polygamy, where you have like one man and 3 or 4 women. Anyway, moving on.
And that is when there's a pride of lions, usually there's 1 or 2 adult males that will mate with their pride of lionesses. Now, if another adult male comes in and ousts one of those males, he kills him or gets him to retreat, the first thing he will do is attempt to murder all the cubs of that previous alpha lion, especially the nursing ones. So the lionesses will put up some defense, but they can't fight to the death to keep their cubs around, because if they did, they would be killed and then they would not pass on their genes. So what will happen is the lion will kill the cubs of the previous lion, and then those female lionesses will then mate with the very lion that killed the previous lover that they had. Okay, that's the lion example.
Okay, that's a very simple look at the lion. What happens is the lion kills these cubs from the previous lion, because when he does that, the females in the pride of lions, although all the females that are of mating age, will go into heat. And then he'll be able to mate with them right away. He can't wait around. He can't wait around for another lion to come along and depose him. He has to mate right away so that his genes get passed on. This is all about passing on your genes. That's what mating is. It's about passing your genes on. Now, it's not as simple as he explained it, obviously, based on just that. But watch the documentary Relentless Enemies. It's about a pride of lions that is trapped on an island. And it's a female. It's a lioness that kills off the cubs because she doesn't feel like she's getting enough attention from the males. So yeah, even male-female relationships in the animal kingdom are more complicated than this guy wants to make them out to be. So let's move on with the rest of the video, and he's going to talk about dolphins next. Let's see what they have to teach us about male disposability.
Example. Number 2 is we see this behavior in dolphins, where there's evidence to suggest that dolphins remember the mates that they've had over the years. And if they come across a female dolphin that they don't remember, that's a stranger to them, that has a calf, that male dolphin will then do everything he can to separate that calf from the mother. And then once he does, he'll throw it around in the air, he'll bunt into it with his bottlenose and try to kill that calf. What will then happen is that female dolphin will be ready to mate within the next few weeks, and she could potentially be a partner for that male dolphin that killed her previous offspring. If the male dolphin fails at killing that calf, then that female will be unavailable as a mate for the next 3 to 4 years. So we're talking about this. It's another example of the same type of behavior that is basically evolution over feelings and feel-good idealisms, right?
What does this have to do with human behavior? Okay, when is it that you've seen a human being go, I'm going to get her kid away from her, and then I'm going to kill the kid, and then she'll want to mate with me? What? Who thinks like that? What kind of sociopath thinks like that? First off, it's not going to work. Second off, it's illegal. Third off, most people think that it's immoral, especially killing a kid. I mean, come on. Wow, this is like, just like I said, it's out of left field. I don't know where this idea is coming from.
So the third, got one more for you, and most relevant example is that we see infanticide in this behavior throughout the primate kingdom and almost every single species of primate, including chimpanzees and gorillas. So to use gorillas and chimpanzees as an example, a gorilla will oust another alpha gorilla that may have had 2 or 3 females, and then he takes those females for himself. He will then either try to kill the very young male gorillas so that they don't grow up and challenge him. And
okay, this is wrong. He doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to gorillas. So gorillas live in a troop. I believe it's called a troop of gorillas. But there are multiple men in the troop. There's like 5, 6 men, and there's like 20 women. Only one of the men is allowed to mate. He is the alpha gorilla. And if he gets old enough and then is killed off by the next in line, then the next in line will be the alpha gorilla and he'll mate. Or the beta gorillas can go off and challenge another gorilla, an alpha gorilla in another troop. And that's how this works. Gorillas are like way non-promiscuous. They're polygamous, right? So they basically mate with only one gorilla. Like a female gorilla could go through her whole life only mating with one gorilla. As a result of this, actually, interestingly, the male gorilla has like the smallest genitals to body mass out of any primate. They're really small because there's no competition for like, oh look, mine's bigger, you might want a bigger one, or maybe you want a smaller one, mine's smaller, or mine does this or whatever, So he doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to gorillas. Let's see if he has anything else to say about them.
Or he will ostracize them if he can't kill them or chase them off. He will ostracize them and push them out of the pack, right? And he does this again for obvious reasons because he wants to perpetuate his own offspring, and he has this very hostile attitude towards other gorillas' offspring for obvious reasons. So those are 3 examples in the animal kingdom, which brings us to the theory in question, which is that we see this behavior in humans, and I would argue we see it in humans almost more than anything else.
Oh, really? We see this in humans more than any other animal, really? When do we see this in humans? When do we see humans killing off the offspring for mating rights? This never happens. Sure, there's a lot of murder amongst humans, and there's war amongst humans, but it's not for women anymore. We don't go around killing each other to get women or going to war with each other for women, do we? I mean, I'm sure it happens, but it doesn't seem to be very prevalent at all. And besides which, it's not going to work. I mean, I can just imagine we got 2 gangs here. Yeah, we got the gang war. It's going on. And one gang comes in and kills off all the males, and he's like, "Oh yeah, sweet, we got all the women now. Let's go ahead and put them into heat by killing off their kids." Oh, wait a second, that doesn't work, and it also doesn't matter because you're going to be the ones getting with them now. We don't have the simplistic brains of animals. We understand that when human beings mate, they can have babies with that new mate. It's not like we have to go into heat like they do in the animal kingdom, or it's not like there's no reason to keep the children alive. We have plenty of reasons to keep children alive, and we find murder abhorrent. So,
and as a man, and as with people reading this and watching this and thinking about this, all these guys know what I'm talking about when we start talking about the word cuck. So the reason why you hear this word so much in these communities is because men have an extremely powerful, innate biological drive to not want to expend their resources raising the children of other men. We have this.
Really? Then how come hundreds of millions of men throughout the entire history of humanity have knowingly raised another man's children? Where are you getting this information from? This happens. Some men want that situation. Some men want to walk into a situation where there is a woman who already has children that he can raise. They don't want to have their own children, or maybe they can't have their own children, and they turn out to be perfectly good fathers. We've seen this throughout history. Where are you getting this idea from? That men just, as soon as I get a new woman and she has kids, I'm going to kill those kids. What is this?
This instinct. Women to some degree know this, but not nearly to the extent that we feel this as men, right? And to illustrate this in a way that's going to be clear for you, you have 2 tribes of humans. Same logic applies where men wage war on one another. The men are designed in a way to want to fight and die to protect their tribe, their women, and their children. No.
Men are designed in a way to protect their women. That's pretty much exclusively what men try to protect, and it's the same way in the animal kingdom especially. It's much more so in the animal kingdom. men want to protect mating rights because the man doesn't know when he's passed on his genes, right? Men don't know this. Women know. Women have a very clear indication of that they've passed on their genes. Men don't have that indication, right? So that's why men protect their women so fiercely, because otherwise they don't know that their genes are being passed on. That's the innate biological drive that he's discussing, and he doesn't know what he's even talking about in this.
If two tribes come together, wage war, the victorious tribe will then come and take all the women and children from the tribe that they killed. Now, they will do the same thing the guerrillas will do. They will try to ostracize, or very often in history would kill the males when there's...
Do you have proof of this? Do you have any evidence to support this notion that this has happened at any time to tribes? Maybe it has, but from what I've seen in the past, the victorious tribe would take the women and use them as mates and enslave the children very often. So they wouldn't kill them. They would use them as a resource because they are a resource. And as far as he's going to mention something about like, oh, there's not enough resources, so they'll kill off the humans. When does this happen? When is it that humans go, well, there's not enough resources, so we need to start killing some human being. We got to cull the herd here. Let's kill off some of our neighbors. When does that happen? When have you ever seen that happen throughout history? I'm sure it probably has happened, but it's not common. I've never even heard of that happening, where a group of people was like, we don't have enough resources to go around. We're going to kill some people. What? People find murder abhorrent to varying degrees, obviously, but most people are like, yeah, we're not going to do that because it's wrong. I don't want you to do that to me. I'm not going to do it to you.
There's much less resources to go around, so they would ostracize and kill the males, just like gorillas and chimpanzees or all these other species would, for obvious reasons. Now, women, just like those other species, can't fight to the death. They're not programmed to fight to the death for their tribal allegiance. Their dead husbands they have to push them to the side and have to move on quickly in order to survive and pass on their genes. So the woman out of the tribe that was willing to fight and die for her allegiance to her previous husband would not be able to be taken as a prize by the new tribe, and she would be killed with the rest. So this behavior over hundreds of thousands of years has manifested in women being motivated only by their own self-interest and being able to treat men as a disposable utility. So they are looking at their own interests first, and then their children's, which are also important, so they do care about their children, but as far as their tribal allegiance to their men, they have none. So that...
Okay, so in the past, it was called fighting with honor, and if you fought with honor, you didn't attack women, you didn't attack children, you fought other men. And it was commonplace to go, hey, look, we're going to spare the women and children, send out your fighting age men, or send out all the men. We'll kill all the men, we'll let the women and children live. What he's talking about here, of course, is male disposability. I'm going to tell you why men are disposable. Very, very easy to understand. And he complicated it with some weird idea that I don't know if he believes it or not, but I think he does. And now, nothing against Mission. I watch his channel, and he seems to be very sincere in his intent with his YouTube channel, which he claims is to develop better interpersonal relationships between men and women. He wants to understand how to do that. He wants to spread the word of how we can go about doing that. And it's like, we don't need to spread the word. We all know how to do that. So the reason that men are disposable is because if you have a community that consists of 2,000 women and 100 men, that community will grow and even thrive. All of those women could be pregnant at the same time. All 2,000 women could be pregnant at the same time, given those 100 men, very easily. If it's the other way around, if you have, say, 2,000 men and 100 women, that community is going to shrink real fast. It's in danger of going out of existence because, yeah, you could have all those women pregnant. All 100 women could be pregnant at the same time, but there's going to be a whole bunch of men. There's going to be something like 1,900 men in that community who are like, dude, I want to get some and I can't get any. I don't have any right to the women. I don't have any access to the women. What am I going to do? It's probably going to be less than 1,900. Maybe it's going to be 1,500, but that's 1,500 men who are going to just be like, hey, look, I'm going to go find women. I'm going to go somewhere where there's women. That's what I would do. I would immediately, if I thought there was going to be women somewhere else in the world, I'd be like, dude, let's go out and find some women. There's even a book that featured that. It's a book. What the heck was that book called? I'm going to put it up on the screen. A book in the characters were personified rabbits, and it was made into a movie, an animated film. It was like Watership Down or something. I don't remember the name of it, but I'll put it up on the screen so you can look at that. And it's true. It's like men are disposable because you don't need as many men to populate the human species. You just don't. You don't need as many men to do the work required of men, or to do the work to allow women to survive. We got more than enough men. All these feminists talking about,
we should reduce the male population down to 10% and use them for only mating purposes.
they don't realize how short-sighted they're being. That 10% of men would occupy all of the positions of authority in the world, and then they'd each have like 10 women. That's really how it would work out, because men just rise to the top that way, because men are disposable. We know this. Men go into this going, yeah, I don't really matter. What matters is the woman, because she is the bottleneck for perpetuation of the species. She has all of the value because she is the thing that perpetuates the human race. This weird theory about like they murder the man and the man's children because, and that's what makes the man and his children disposable. No, they do that because the men are disposable. It's way simpler than he made it out to be, as I said before. So anyway, thank you for watching. I do appreciate everybody stopping by my channel. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed, and I will see you all in the next video.